Okay, I am in Adobe Lightroom Classic and I have the photograph I want to edit here. So I'm going to double click on it and go to the Develop tab in the top right. The first thing I want to do is color correct because you can see I've got my value finder in the photograph. So I'm going to go to the bar on the right and I'm going to select the pipette, which is the white balance selector. And I'm going to bring that over to my grey card. I typically use this value 3, but any of these will give me the same result. And when I click on that, it's going to adjust the color temperature of the painting to what it actually is instead of what the camera has captured. So you see that makes quite a difference to the painting. So I've got my color adjusted. I'm then going to go down to lens corrections. So if I scroll down the menu on the far right, you'll see we have a basic tab and I can click the little arrow to make that open or close. But the next one I want to do is lens corrections. And because I'm using a professional camera, it recognizes the camera and the lens and it will correct any distortion, which there isn't in this painting, and any chromatic issues that are known with the camera. So it has seen that I'm using a Canon, I'm using a 24-105 lens, and it will even tell me if I go to the top right what focal length I'm at, which is 57 millimeters. And it has a specific profile for this camera. If it doesn't recognize the lens, you can also adjust the distortion and vignetting manually, but I'm not going to touch that. So the one thing you might notice is that this is not perfectly square. My camera is at a slight angle. So what I want to do is go to the transform tab and I'm going to use this guided upright option. Because of the angle, I don't have an even edge. So what this allows me to do is define each edge of the painting. So I'm going to click and drag my mouse along and try and line that up as well as I can with the actual edge of the painting. And this one's fairly clearly defined. It can be a little difficult to get that edge right because it's a tiny, tiny adjustment. But get it as close as you can. This sometimes takes me a bit of time, partly because I need to clean my mouse. There, and I'm going to use this line along the bottom. There and just here. So this isn't lit as well as I would like, and as a result, it's a little bit grainy, but you can see that when we zoom in. But that has squared the painting up. This is a 20 by 20, so I know it's perfectly square. So I'm then going to come up to the bar at the top and click this crop icon. And I can change the aspect because I know this is 1:1. I can just zoom this down until it fits top and bottom and then just move it into place. So that is just capturing my painting now. It's a little underexposed, so I will do some basic adjustments. So how I can tell it's underexposed, if I look at the histogram up in the top here, everything is right in the middle, and I know there's a pure white in this painting and very close to a pure black. So instead of adjusting the exposure, which is just going to make everything brighter, I'm going to shift the whites up until I get that right-hand side of that histogram touching. So I don't want to go so far that it overexposes. You see the little triangle in the top corner goes bright, but I want it to be very, very close to that. And I can bring my blacks down again until I get that triangle appearing and then pull it back. Now I know my darks aren't perfectly black, so I'm actually going to pull that up a little bit. And that is a better color rendition of the painting. So even though I used a white card, it's still not perfectly even across the painting. This side on the left is actually a little bit lighter, but it's not that much lighter. So there's one last adjustment I can make, which again, in this top bar is the dash circle with dashes around it. And I'm going to use a linear gradient, and I'm just going to nudge the exposure up a little bit. It doesn't need to go very far. So maybe, let's say, a quarter of a stop. And I can drag that across, and it will just even up. It adds a gradient of light that just evens up that edge. I might even take that down a little bit. That's better. So it's a tiny, tiny adjustment, but it makes a big difference. So that's done. I've got nice, even lighting across my photograph. If I zoom in, it is a little bit grainy. So the last thing I usually do is go into detail, and I add some noise reduction. And I usually add about 20 to 25%. And I will just adjust the others to all be around 50%. I will also add some sharpening. I usually take that up to about 60 to 80. I'm leaving the radius and the detail alone. But I am going to press my Alt key and adjust the masking. So the masking tells me which parts of the photograph it's going to apply sharpening to, and I don't want it to apply that sharpening to all the canvas detail or the brushstroke detail. I just want to care about the edges. So the more I pull that up, the less it's going to sharpen, and that looks pretty good to me. And now I can see I've got a nice sharp image. I've got a warning. Yeah, that's fine. So pressing the Alt key on this particular tab will change it to grayscale, which allows you to see a little bit more clearly what's going on. So I'm going to take that back, and you can also press the I button just to see what difference it makes. So it has made it a little bit less crunchy, which for me is a good thing. I don't like my artwork to be too crunchy. And if I'm turning the eyedropper or the eye on and off there, do you see the canvas texture starts to go away, which is more accurately how we would see the painting. So that's a finished edit of a painting in Adobe Photoshop Lightroom Classic. And this is typically how I would edit a painting in a professional piece of software.